Hey YouTubers, and welcome to part 2 of my horror DVD and Blu-ray update slash shout out to Horror Collector 1999. I'm just going to get right into it, and the very first one in part 2 I have here is the Blu-ray DVD combo pack of Intruder. Really good old school 80s slasher film that takes place in a market. It's basically about a bunch of people that work in a supermarket, and they work the overnight shift. And one night, when they all close the doors and begin to work, the manager tells them that unfortunately they're going to be selling the store, and they all have a couple weeks to find other jobs. And then all of a sudden they start getting these disturbing phone calls, and then an intruder comes in and starts to kill them off one by one. It's a lot of fun, really low budget. Sam and his brother Ted Raimi star in it, and it's actually, I think, partially written by Lawrence Bender, who is Quentin Tarantino's longtime producer. I really love the cover on this Blu-ray. That's really why I picked it up. And the next one I have is the 2009, I believe it is, remake for the movie Let the Right One In. This is Let Me In, starring Chloe Grace Moretz. And I thought this movie was phenomenal. I really do appreciate the original one. I saw it a couple times on TV. I do not own that one, and I agree with a lot of people what they say, how, you know, even though this movie is good, it's a good remake, it was really unnecessary because the original is just such a classic. And this one didn't really touch on anything new. They follow pretty much the same story, but I do appreciate all the leads' performances, like Chloe Grace Moretz and the little boy, I believe his name is Cody Smith McPhee. And yeah, just great. And I love, horror movies in snow. There's something about the contrast and of the blood on the snow, just it really makes it pop. So yeah, I really like this one a lot. The next one I have is the standard DVD. Now this one's gonna be really hard. Oh man. Yeah, as you can see, there's like a lot of shine and gleam coming off this one, and it's causing a little bit of an issue with the reflection. But anyway, this is the DVD edition standard of Near Dark. This is a pretty good early 90s, late 80s, I believe, maybe, vampire film. The only thing that's a little interesting about this one is they never actually say the word vampire. I believe it was adapted from a novel. I think it's directed by a woman. I'm not really sure. Yeah, Catherine Bigelow. But yeah, great cast with Lance Henriksen and Bill Paxton. And it's basically about a young kid in his 20s, and he meets this girl, and he tries to take her on a date, and she ends up biting him when he goes to kiss her and turning him into a vampire. And then the rest of the clan that she runs with, they want to kill him because they don't want anybody else new in the group, but she wants to welcome him in. So then, they pretty much give him a hard time, but he ends up eventually deciding whether he wants to run away with the vampires and start a new life as a vampire, or to go back to his family. But it's really good, and there's a really good scene in the bar where Bill Paxton is wearing these boots with spurs, and it gets really bloody. It's really awesome. I had a lot of fun with this one. I would definitely recommend it. And the next one I have is the 2-disc collector's edition of the Never Sleep Again, the Nightmare on Elm Street Legacy. And this one is done by 1428 Films. They're the same people that did the Camp Crystal Lake Memories documentary. Same thing as the other one, not as long. This one has, I believe, only 4 hours compared to 6 hours with the Crystal Lake one. But it's just really extensive, really expansive. I like these a lot because although they are long, they really delve into each individual film and cover the whole entire franchise. A lot of great interviews. They get a lot of behind-the-scenes extra stuff that nobody ever knew. And but yeah, it is very, very long. So you're gonna have to clear a lot of time out of your schedule if you want to sit down and watch this all the way through. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I picked this up really cheap at Best Buy, I believe, for about $10. The next one I have is the standard DVD version of Night of the Creeps. This is the director's cut. Now I know that Shout Factory recently put out a Blu-ray of this. I don't like the cover art in that one. And so I really wouldn't upgrade no matter what. But also, I gotta say that I'm not really a big a fan as this one as most people are. I mean, I put it in, and it had funny moments in the beginning with the aliens on the ship. But when it came down to Earth and it just was focusing on the two boys, the one in the wheelchair and his friend, I just thought the dialogue was really, really poor, and there wasn't much going on. It kind of lost my interest, and I really didn't like this one that much. Maybe it's worth a second view. Maybe I'll feel differently about it. But as of right now, I mean, it felt like a little bit of fun, and it had an okay cast with some really famous character actors like this guy. I can't remember his name right now. But yeah, maybe this one is worth a second view. I mean, I don't know. But to be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of this one. And the next one I have is a recent horror film I'm gonna say maybe 2009 or 8 or something like that, and it's called Orphan. And this one is basically about a family that ends up adopting this girl from a boarding school, and they bring her to their family, and they already have 2 kids. They have a boy and a daughter. The daughter's deaf, and so they bring this girl in, and they try to give her a better life. And even though a lot of the people tell the family that's adopting her, sorry, that people have had problems with her in the past, they put it past her, and they end up taking her in, and slowly she starts to manipulate the youngest daughter, and things start to happen, and at school and stuff like that. I'm having trouble talking about this one because there is a bit of a twist that I don't want to give away, so I'm just going to stop at that. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to kill it for you, but it gets very creepy, and yeah, it's pretty good. Now the next one I have is the Anchor Bay Collection standard release of Phantasm 3. I have the first 2 also on DVD. I've shown them in recent videos. I don't own the 4th one yet. That one I wasn't that big of a fan of. This is one of my favorite ones. This is the one where what is his name? Let me see, 1 second. Mike, Jody, Reggie. Yeah, this is the one where Reggie and Mike go on the road, and they're basically going from town to town, and they're tracking the trail that the tall man is leaving, and they're trying to track him down. They're trying to kill him, and it's really cool because they have a lot of fun. They build like a lot of weapons. He builds that quadruple barrel shotgun. That's really memorable. That was a fun scene. And then of course that part where they go to the abandoned house and they encounter that kid, and they end up bringing him along, and he's like an 8-year-old kid, but he's got all these weapons. This one is just to me by far it's the funnest. Not the best. The first and the first one and the second one were better probably story wise, but this is like the more fun film. So yeah, this is one that I really like. Now the next one I have is a late 70s, I believe it's Spanish slasher film, and it's called Pieces. A lot of people know about this one already, so I shouldn't have to talk about this too much. Extremely low budget, extremely gory, extremely fun, and it's just basically about a killer that is going around this college campus, and he's killing people and taking some of their body parts to make like a big, I guess like a puzzle or something like that. And then there's like a group of people that work with the dean to try to figure out who it is. And in the beginning there's like a scene where like a boy ends up killing his mom. So you get a sense like it's like one of those movies where you're supposed to try to guess who the killer is. But it was really fun. Like I said, very, very low budget. This is the Diamond release. I don't even know if this movie does have a Blu-ray release. If it does, anytime soon, I'm hoping it's Shout Factory, and I'll definitely pop on that. But for now, this is all I have. Let's see. The next one I have is one of my favorite John Carpenter movies from his classics. This is Prince of Darkness, and this one is just about a group of grad students that are brought in. They're handpicked to do this project, and I think there's like a church that's close. It's either on the grounds of the college or it's close to it, and this priest ends up dying. And while they're going through his things, they end up finding this room where he has this artifact, and apparently it's supposed to be like the soul of the devil or something like that, and they end up unleashing it. And this one has Alice Cooper in it, and it's just a lot of fun. Good pace, good music. John Carpenter always has the really good synth music, and the mood is really good, and there's some creepy parts where they're like using mind control, and it just gets really, really weird. But I always loved all of John Carpenter's films, and this is definitely one of my favorites. The next one I have here is the standard DVD copy of Prophecy, the monster movie. No, this is not The Prophecy with Christopher Walken. This one was really, really fun. It's just basically about a company that is doing some kind of testing in the wilderness, and they end up dumping some waste, and it ends up poisoning the animals, and ends up making them morph and change. So there's even like a huge man-bear pig. That's the only thing I could describe it as in the movie, and it was really, really fun. This one is definitely worth another watch too. I don't really remember too much about this, but I can say I remember having fun watching it though. The next one I have is the I think this is from the 70s. Of course everybody knows this one. This is the Prowler. This is another one I gotta say that since I've been on Amazon and for years they always suggest this to me. Everybody talks about it, so I finally decided to go ahead and buy it. I had never seen it, and I put it in and I watched it all the way through, and I gotta tell you, I was really not impressed. I felt like the kills were boring. I felt like there was nothing else going on besides the kills. And at least when the kills are good, the movie's watchable, but the kills weren't even good. So, this is another one that I might throw in again one day and maybe give it a second shot. But for now, yeah, I was really not satisfied with that one. And this one is More Brains, A Return to the Living Dead. This is the definitive Return of the Living Dead documentary. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite documentaries that cover horror films. Of course, like I've said before, I'm an absolutely huge Return of the Living Dead fan, and this has, all the best. It's not as long as the 1428 ones. This is only about, I believe, about an hour and a half. But I love the opening credit sequence with the animation that they use. They got literally everybody that had to do with something with this film. Got a bunch of good interviews, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff you didn't know. Just really, really fun. So definitely, if you're a big fan of this movie, this is something you definitely want to pick up. And I know in the UK, when they released the Return of the Living Dead Steelbook on Blu-ray, they actually included this as one of the special features. But here in America, it's a standalone edition that you have to get on your own. So if you don't have the Steelbook, you have to pick that up. The next one I have is this really, really weird movie called Rubber. I saw it on Sci-Fi a couple times. I wouldn't even know how to describe this, really. I don't even know what genre this would fall in. To me, it's just kind of like horror satire, basically, where they just make fun of like weird things that happen in horror movies. And it's just basically about a bunch of people watching. This man instructs them to watch the town, gives them binoculars, and they just watch this tire go around, and the tire has telekinesis, and the tire can make people's heads explode. So that's pretty much the whole movie. It's really, really weird. Pretty fun to watch though, but I haven't seen it in a while. But yeah, I like the cool lenticular cover on the front with him squishing the crow. The next one I have here is the Blu-ray Scream 5-film set. Now this one brings the first 3 Scream films, and it also brings 2 documentaries. One is Still Screaming, and the second one is Scream the Inside Story. Now mainly, I already owned the first 3 Scream films on DVD. Mainly the reason I bought it was for Scream the Inside Story, because I saw that documentary on TV and I absolutely loved it. And I only got this for $10 at Target, so I mean for $10 I got all 3 original Screams on Blu-ray, as well as 2 documentaries on Blu-ray. And I'm a huge fan of the Scream franchise, especially the first one, and I actually really like the 4th one better than the 2 and 3. And like I said, it comes with 2 documentaries, so I thought this was an excellent pickup. Next one I have is a extremely strange, extremely out there, late 70s, I mean, I don't even know what you would call it, slasher, paranormal. I guess it falls under both categories. It's called Tourist Trap, and a user on here by the name of Coolder would always talk about this as one of his favorites, so I knew I had to see it. And it's so weird, and it's just about a group of teens that are passing through this town on the way to a vacation destination, and they end up stopping at this tourist trap, and this old man welcomes them in to his house, and he's got basically almost like a novelty shop / wax museum. And he kind of shows them around and then ends up splitting them up, and they start to die off one by one. But you don't really know what's killing them, because it's kind of like paranormal stuff, but there's also sometimes a guy dressed up as a killer. And I don't want to give away too much, because there is twists in this one as well. But I really, really like this film. It's really out there and it's really original. The next one I have is the Blu-ray version of Trollhunter. And this is a Swedish film that I saw on Sci-Fi Channel. I saw about the second half of it and I loved it, so I decided to go ahead and buy it. And this movie is just really, really fun. It's a found footage movie about a group of documentary filmmakers that go into the woods, and they're following, because there's a bunch of lately there have been a bunch of killings, and people thought bears were killing people and terrorizing the town. And they end up encountering this man that he ends up being a troll hunter, so they basically follow him around, and he lets them document like his life as a troll hunter. And there's a lot of good CG in here. Really, really fun movie. You will have to read subtitles, but I believe it also does come with a dubbed version, so you can throw the American audio on there too. It had a lot of fun watching this one. And the last one I had picked up is my most recent pickup as well, VHS 2 on Blu-ray. These films, this one I would say is not as good as the first one. The first one has a stronger all-around movie, but this one definitely has the best segment. I completely agree with, I forgot who it was that said it, but the Safe Haven segment in this one is by far the best. I also agree saying that that one could be a standalone film, but it's pretty good, and it's just basically about a group of private investigators that are hired by this woman to go find out the whereabouts of her son. And when they go in his house, they don't find him, but they find a bunch of these VHS tapes. and they pop them in and start seeing this weird stuff, and it's pretty good. Some of them are kind of boring, but some of them were pretty good. So anyway, before my camera dies, that is the last one that I have. So I really hope you enjoy this film, especially Horror Collector 1999. And if you like the film, if you like my video, definitely give it a thumbs up and like it. Alright guys, until next time.